It wasn't until the faint scrawl of the word Jonas appeared on the notepad that the truth began to unravel. Caleb Morgan, standing in his dimly lit farmhouse kitchen, stared at the boy across from him. A boy he had chased through the woods. A boy accused of stealing livestock. But now, as the pieces fell into place, Caleb realized the thefts weren't the real story. The truth was far deeper, a tale of buried secrets, betrayal, and a young man searching for answers that would change the entire town. And it all started 6 months ago when Caleb, a reluctant city man turned farmer, inherited his family's estate in the rural village of Meadowbrook after the sudden loss of his parents. Caleb had spent his 20s building a successful career in corporate law. With a promising future and a prestigious degree, his life was on a fast track to big city success. But that life came to a screeching halt when a phone call shattered his world. His parents had been killed in a car accident. The news left him reeling, and as their only child, Caleb had no choice but to return to Meadowbrook to settle their affairs. The family farm was not just a piece of land. It was a cornerstone of the community. His parents had poured their lives into keeping it afloat, and while Caleb initially planned to sell it and return to his life in the city, standing in the farmhouse brought back a flood of memories. The smell of freshly turned soil, the creak of the old barn doors, and the loyal gaze of Scout, the border collie his parents had raised, reminded him of a simpler, happier time. Against his own expectations, Caleb decided to stay. Adjusting to farm life was a steep learning curve. Caleb traded conference calls for early mornings in the field, and his once soft hands became calloused from endless labor. Scout was his steadfast companion, herding sheep and keeping Caleb company during lonely nights. Just as he began to feel like he was getting the hang of things, the first sign of trouble appeared. It was a late autumn evening when Scout's frantic barking jolted Caleb awake. Pulling on his boots and grabbing a flashlight, he rushed outside to find his neighbor, Samuel Hargrove, running toward him in the moonlight, panic etched across his face. "It's happened again," Samuel shouted, breathless. "More livestock gone. Just vanished." Caleb listened as Samuel explained that 3 of his sheep had disappeared overnight, just as others had from neighboring farms. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no tracks. It was as if the animals had been spirited away. Caleb felt a chill creep over him, but he tried to remain pragmatic. "Have you called the sheriff?" Caleb asked. "They're useless," Samuel spat. "We need to handle this ourselves." The next morning, the community gathered in the town hall. At the head of the meeting stood Gideon Harper, the wealthiest landowner in Meadowbrook and an influential figure in town affairs. With his booming voice and commanding presence, Gideon called for action. "This has gone on long enough," Gideon declared. "Over 50 animals have been taken this month alone. We need to protect what's ours." The room buzzed with speculation. Was it wolves? A clever thief? Something unnatural? Theories ranged from practical to downright fantastical, but no one had any solid answers. Gideon appointed Elias Boone, a seasoned hunter and tracker, to patrol the area at night. Elias set out with his rifle and decades of experience, but what he discovered only deepened the mystery. One moonless night, Elias claimed to have seen a figure moving on all fours before rising to 2 legs. Its eyes, he said, glowed an eerie green before it disappeared into the shadows. His account sent shockwaves through the town, but many dismissed it as the ramblings of an old man. Caleb, however, wasn't convinced by the supernatural angle. Determined to find a logical explanation, he installed security cameras around his property and began monitoring them nightly. For weeks, he saw nothing unusual, until one fateful evening when a shadowy figure emerged from the tree line. The figure moved with a strange, hesitant gait, and Caleb's heart raced as he realized it was a person. The next night, Caleb decided to confront the intruder. Armed with a flashlight and accompanied by Scout, he waited in the barn. When the figure appeared again, Caleb gave chase, weaving through the woods until the intruder stumbled into an old hunter's trap. As Caleb approached, his flashlight illuminated the face of a boy no older than 17, thin and frightened. "It's okay," Caleb said gently, kneeling to help the boy out of the trap. "I'm not going to hurt you." The boy didn't speak but gestured to his throat, shaking his head. Back at the farmhouse, Caleb cleaned the boy's wounds and handed him a notepad. Slowly, the boy wrote his name, Jonas. Over the next hour, Jonas revealed through notes and gestures that he wasn't stealing livestock for profit. He was searching for his father, a man he believed lived in Meadowbrook. When Caleb asked who his father was, Jonas hesitated before writing a name that left Caleb stunned. Gideon Harper. The revelation was shocking, but it was only the beginning. Over the next few days, Jonas shared his story. His mother, Lydia, had raised him in isolation after being cast out of Meadowbrook by Gideon's family. She had recently passed away, leaving Jonas to fend for himself and seek out the father he had never known. Caleb, moved by the boy's plight, decided to dig deeper. He spoke to his elderly neighbor, Martha Lowell, who confirmed Jonas's story. Decades ago, Gideon had fathered a child with Lydia, a young woman from a modest background. To protect his reputation, Gideon's family had forced Lydia to leave town, cutting all ties. Armed with this knowledge, Caleb realized there was another layer to the mystery. Who was responsible for the livestock thefts? Reviewing the footage from his cameras, he found a crucial clue. 2 men, disguised in dark clothing, loading stolen animals into a truck. Caleb recognized them as Gideon's legitimate sons, Thomas and Levi. The next town meeting was Caleb's moment to reveal the truth. Standing before the gathered community, he shared Jonas's story and presented the evidence implicating Thomas and Levi in the thefts. The room erupted in shock and anger. Gideon, red-faced and furious, tried to deny everything, but the evidence was undeniable. Under pressure, Thomas and Levi confessed, admitting they had been selling the stolen livestock to fund their lavish lifestyles. The fallout was swift. Thomas and Levi were arrested, and Gideon, disgraced and humiliated, stepped down from his position as the community leader. Jonas, finally free from the shadows, found a home with Caleb, who offered him a place on the farm. Over the following months, Caleb and Jonas worked side by side to rebuild the farm. The community rallied around them, offering support and resources. Jonas, once a shy and broken boy, blossomed under Caleb's care, finding confidence and purpose in his new life. One crisp spring evening, Caleb proposed to Sophie Langston, the town's veterinarian and a steadfast supporter throughout the ordeal. Her enthusiastic yes marked the start of a new chapter for their unconventional family. Back at the farmhouse, Jonas beamed as Caleb and Sophie shared the news, writing on his notepad, "We're a real family now." Under the stars that night, Caleb reflected on how far they had come. What began as a tale of loss and betrayal had transformed into a story of redemption, resilience, and the enduring strength of family. Together, they had turned a struggling farm into a thriving home, a place where secrets were unearthed and hope was sown anew. What do you think of Caleb and Jonas's incredible journey? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves tales of hope and redemption.